Hello all, how are you all doing? This is the Windman here, today in my first rebuild on the channel. Today we'll be getting started with our Hearts rebuild in the Scottish Premiership. And as you can see here, we have our first game coming up soon against the Rangers. But I'll come over to the squad real quick to have a quick look through. Now I've already made some brief changes to the lineup going into our first game of year one. I've basically made an effort to make the team a little bit younger as we don't have a large transfer budget to work with. So as you can see here, we're running a 4-2-3-1. Basically to get a bit of playmaking down both the wings and for the midfield, so we have a few options to advance the ball up the field. I have a few options here that I quite like. There's a few players with some decent potential. One of the big names here is I've made the signing of Geraint Quoll permanent. He was on here on loan, and I've changed that over to a permanent role, so now he's here officially. And this is our starting lineup for the first game. Nothing to really be too happy with. I believe Celtic and Rangers are probably going to absolutely destroy us in the first few times we play. But for an early season team, this is not too bad. We can probably get away with this. And really, I'm aiming with this squad, realistically, to finish somewhere around the 3 to 4 range, maybe as low as 5th. If we can do that in year 1, I'll be happy with that. And now over to our scout instructions. We're looking for mostly players that are quite promising, as we only have roughly an $11 million transfer budget in the first year, which you can make some big moves with that. Nothing that's really going to transform this team into the Premier team in the Premiership. So I have 4 instructions here. I'm looking for fast wings, promising playmakers in the cam position, tall, strong centre backs who are also promising, and then any players with good potential just in general. So we're going to try and turn this team around with a bit of youth. Obviously, with a small transfer budget, it's going to be hard to kind of revitalize the club quickly, so it's going to take some time. But my main goal in year 1 is going to be try and bring in some young players that can help us become contenders within a few years, basically to reach our main goal of becoming the premier team in Scotland. And as I said earlier, looking here, I believe that we can possibly finish somewhere between 3 and 5 quite viably. Obviously, Celtic and Rangers will be battling between 1 and 2. But European football spots are anywhere 1 through 4 in Scotland, as well as the Scottish Cup winner, I believe. So 1st through 4th is ideal for us, or a Scottish Cup win. But based off the teams that are currently in the Premiership in FIFA 23, I believe 3rd to 5th place Rangers probably our most likely bet. Obviously, a long-term goal, over a few years would be to eventually topple both Celtic and Rangers. But at the moment, we don't really have the capacity to do so. And as you can see here in our opening game against the Rangers, we've gotten up 2-1. We've also simulated up to the end of the first transfer window as well. So in the second month, you can see we had some decent success. 2 wins, 2 draws, including a draw against Celtic. And coming into the end of transfer window, we've now got 3 games coming up. So we're still early on in the season. But if I head over to standings real quick, we can see that we're actually sitting in 4th place at the moment. Only behind Celtic, Rangers, and Kilmarnock, I believe it's pronounced. And only by 1 point behind them as well, with 1 less game played. So at the moment, things are looking good for us. We're yet to lose a game. 3 wins, 2 draws. Not too bad at all, and kind of exactly where I expected us to be. The table, there's no big surprises at the moment, apart from Aberdeen being down in 10th. Kind of thought they were going to be one of the main teams that we would be going up against on the table. I thought it would kind of be us and Aberdeen, maybe Dundee United as well, kind of fighting out for that 3 through 5 spot. But a little bit of a slow start for them. But for us, though, we've been quite good. I'll also have a look at the squad now after the transfer window. So we've brought in El Canus, I believe it's pronounced, as our starting cam. He's got good potential. He's a very good playmaker, good dribble, good pace on him as well. I believe that he can possibly be a big asset from us. Also on the left, we've brought in Noosa as well. He's actually a right wing, but we're going to change him across shortly to the left side. Very pacey winger. It can basically provide a bit of versatility. Once Geraint Quoll has developed enough as well, to have these 2 guys on the wing, they're going to be a very sort of pacey, a good attacking threat to back up our striker at the front, which is currently still Shankland. If we have a look through the rest of our lineup, we've also brought in Zabast as a centre-back. He's 6'2", only 18 years of age, from Belgium. He's got good physicals, pace is decent for a 6'2" player. Good defender, not bad dribbling and passing as well, so he can be a little bit of a ball-playing defender as well if we need him to be. So that's currently a lineup. Everything else has remained basically unchanged in the starters. This lineup still, I don't have high expectations for us. It's mostly a team that I'm going to try and develop over the next few seasons, and we'll see how they go from there. And so here we are getting late into the season now, and as we look back through the season, we can see we had some pretty good form throughout the year. Minimal losses actually, which is quite impressive. But as you can see now, we've come into the late part of the season here. And if you didn't know, the way that the Scottish Premier League works is after the first stage, which is 33 regular season games, or each team 3 times, the top 6 teams and the bottom 6 teams each go into 2 separate groups, and those teams then play each other once to determine basically the winners of the table after that. So the top 6, in this case Celtic through Livingston, will get put into a group, and Dundee United through Ross County will get put into a group. They'll each play each other once, and then those groups will basically determine the order 1 through 12. It's basically a way of just splitting the kind of gap between the top teams and the bottom teams in half. Surprisingly enough, Aberdeen have finished down in 5th. I thought they were honestly going to be a contender basically comparable to us, but instead we've actually got the jump on them by 26 points, which I'm very surprised by. We've also knocked off Rangers as well by 10 points, sorry, as of this point in time. Now, as we look to the second stage, we could lose that as we still have to play each of these teams once each. We can still catch Celtic. With a bit of bad form on Celtic's part, we could catch them. But also saying that Rangers could catch us as well. So I think the best case scenario here is get close to Celtic, but more so just don't let Rangers get past us. That's the main goal here. So realistically, we need to win games against 4, 5 and 6. And if we can beat Rangers and Celtic as well, that's ideal. But we're just trying to coast through here as well. And if we have a look over to the Scottish Cup as well, we're shortly going to play the final against Celtic. And as we have a look here at the end of the regular season in the second stage of the Scottish Premiership, we can see that we finished in 2nd place, only 7 points behind Celtic, and actually 11 in front of Rangers. So a very, very solid 2nd place at that. In an alternate reality, we could have actually come in 1st place as we dropped both of our games to Rangers and Celtic. If we won both of those, that would have actually shot us up into 1st by a couple of points in front of Celtic, as they actually had a very, very poor group stage, ending up with only 7 points out of 5 games to end out the second group. So nothing special from Celtic there, but that does basically show that we're not too far. The skill level now is catching up between us and Celtic only in year 1. So as we also have a look as well, we've actually gotten ourselves into the Scottish Cup final with Celtic. We're actually going to jump into this game and get a little bit of gameplay to end the season. If we can get a win here against Celtic, it's more of a moral victory, as the Scottish Cup doesn't really pay that much for a win. It's more of a moral victory to prove that we can beat Celtic. And as you can see, we're jumping into the game now in the Scottish Cup final, going into a game against Celtic. Obviously, as I said earlier, this is going to be a game that's mostly going to determine a moral victory above all else, as it's really not that big of a deal. The Scottish Cup actually doesn't pay all that well. So it's more so a bit of a moral victory to prove that long term we can actually beat Celtic, rather than being this team that's viewed as being unbeatable in the Scottish Premier League. As we have a look now at our starting lineup, as you can see, it's basically unchanged from the beginning of the season. A few new additions here and there, namely Musa and El Khalous, the main 2 additions we've added. And on Celtic's side, a very talented lineup as well, led by Jota at the front. As we kick off now, first game, actually jumping in and playing for the rest of the season. Let's see how we go. When we jump into half-time, down 2-1 against Celtic. Not some bad play on either side. It's kind of what we expected. A difficult game for us overall. As you can see, the XG has been really one-sided. As we have a look, Celtic have put away a 3rd against us. A bit of a defensive breakdown overall. Almost nothing we can do about it. It's just a bit of a switch off defensively. I think defenders seem to kind of shut off mentally. As we have a look here, a bit of a pass around the box, no one there to get in front of this pass here, and it's basically a wide open shot. An opportunity here for us on the edge of the box. Shots off, the keeper saves it. That might have been our last shot for the game there. Joe Hart, Celtic keeper, makes the save. Only about 30 seconds left in extra time. It looks like it's going to be it. But regardless though, it's full time. It's a really good showing from the team. Only conceded within 2 goals, prove that we can score in big games against Celtic. And here we are at the end of the season, having a bit of a quick overlook at how the team is panning out, finishing year 1, going into year 2. Obviously, we came up a little bit short in the Premiership against mainly Celtic, with the main competition for us. Rangers weren't too far behind though, finishing 7 points behind. If a few games went different for us, we easily could have come out in 1st, so that's very promising for next year. I think our goals for next year are just to kind of finish in this 1 to 2 range against Celtic. This also means coming in second as well that we get Europa League football next year as well. So that's going to be interesting for us. I'm mainly interested in that for the financial gains of it. I don't think we're going to win the Europa League, but being in it and getting the kind of prize money just from being a group stage team and whatnot is very good for us. It's what we need to kind of grow as a team. And if we have a look in the Scottish Cup, obviously lost that 3-1 to Celtic. At the moment, they're kind of the big bully at the moment in the basically the Scottish leagues. I'm hoping we can turn things around going into season 2. I think to knock off Scotland's best team, Celtic, it might take a bit more than that. So we might need possibly 2 to 3 seasons to do that. But year 1 is really showing some promise. In transfer history, we can see we did end up making a few more offers. So obviously, Canusa was the last one that we saw. We also brought in young Felix Webster from Australia. He's a guy with very high potential. I believe somewhere in the 80s to 90s range. If we can develop him well enough, he can easily be our star striker going into the future. He's currently on loan with DC United this season on a 2-year loan, so he'll come back when he's around 18 or 19. And hopefully by then he's somewhere in the 70s and he can maybe start for us is the goal. And so here we are now jumping into year 2 of the Hearts rebuild. We'll have a quick look at our lineup here. It looks very much unchanged from the lineup we had last year. I haven't really made any additions yet. A few players have left the club. The starting 11 is basically untouched as far as I can tell. There's no real changes here. A few players have developed now as well, which is great. The bench is a little different. We've brought in, I believe, 2 new players in the Ukrainian goalkeeper. I believe it's pronounced Shevchuk. And also Leon King as well, both signed. Shevchuk is a free agent and King from Rangers. So our bench is mostly the same. We've also gone ahead and loaned out a few players as well. I'll jump over to our transfer history to have a look at that as well. But we've got a few players out on loan at the moment. If I have a look here, that's what we've done so far in the off-season. We've signed Shevchuk on a free transfer. Leon King from Rangers. We've loaned out Serge Ngoma. We've also loaned out, I believe it's Dave Scott as well. So we've got 2 players who are on 2-year loans as well, so they'll come back in 2 seasons to us. And it's looking very good at the moment. If we have a look at our loan network we've got 2 centre-backs out on loan who are developing nicely. Pollock's also out on loan as well. He's developing well. Ngoma just got sent out on a loan. He's already developing quite well at a young age as well. And obviously Felix Webster is the main man. He's the guy who I was talking about earlier, who came through our youth academy with really good potential. So give him a few seasons after coming back from DC United, and I feel like he could be easily our starter, especially as Shankland starts to age at 27. After a few more years of Shankland, if we can't find another striker, I believe it's Webster's time to jump in, assuming he develops well. And if we have a look here, our season opener is against St. Mirren, so we'll jump in with that one and see how we go, and we'll meet back at the mid-season mark. Now, as we've jumped ahead about a week forward in the season, actually, we'll have a quick look at the qualifying round. So apparently, we've not qualified for the Europa League like I thought. We've actually been placed into the Champions League qualifying stage. I'm not too sure how that works. Maybe second place in either the Scottish Cup or the Scottish Prem gets a Champions League qualifying place. But regardless, though, we're going up against Benfica across a two-leg series here. We'll have to see how we go. And if we have a look here now as well, we've just finished the first transfer window of year 2. We've had a few good signings that I feel like are really going to help us out over the next couple of seasons. We've obviously let our old CDM go. He was a backup and he wasn't really going to contribute that much for us, so we've let him go. We have signed Tim Irobunum, I believe it's pronounced. He's going to jump in as a new starting CDM, I believe, so hopefully his potential can skyrocket up there and he can become a really good player for us in a couple of years. We actually let Benagime go as well. His release clause got bought out, so it wasn't by choice. I would have liked to have him stay around, but his release clause got bought out. Wasn't too much I could really do, so he's gone to Feyenoord. And we've also brought in Victor Anderson, another striker coming over from the Romanian league. He's a guy with a bit of potential to him. Obviously, we already have another young striker as well, which does cause a little bit of a logjam at the striker position for us going into the future. But I do believe that it can possibly change to a 2-striker system if that situation arises. Obviously, between Webster, Anderson, Leeburn, obviously Shankland is still as a starter. It is a bit crowded here at striker at the moment, but I'm not against changing formations as well. So we'll try and see how things go. If they get too crowded, not a big deal. And unsurprisingly as well, I was eliminated by Benfica in the Champions League qualifiers, so I have been pushed down to the Europa League, which is what I originally thought would happen anyway, so I'm prepared for this. However, the group we got put into is not particularly easy, as you can see. We've got Aston Villa, Royal Antwerp and Split. I don't know how we're going to go on this group. I'm hoping we can maybe at least sink into a third place. As you know, with the new European rules, third place you get pushed down into the Conference League. So we would fall into the Conference League here and play against a second place team, which honestly, at this point in time, we're not quite ready to contend for European competition yet. But the further we can go into European competition, the better. So if we do come third, it's not the end of the world. I just don't want to come fourth in this group, that's all. And now here we are at the end of Season 2. Having a look at Season 2, our performance domestically has taken a massive step back. This is more like what I expected us to happen in the first year, where we'd end up in a kind of third place range. Except we've actually kind of gone past that, I thought, in the first year. After we made the final of the Scottish Cup and came second in the regular season, I thought we'd do the same again, but turns out we haven't. Having a look at the first stage here, we're only 2 points behind Rangers, so we could have easily made a comeback going into the second stage, very easily. But unfortunately, as you can tell, we had an awful second stage here of the league, putting us 7 points behind Rangers to end the season, which is not good at all. Still good enough for European Conference League football, which is good. Still better than Aberdeen. Aberdeen have been underperforming really poorly so far. But by our standards, as to what we set last year, it's a massive step back performance-wise for us. And having a look in the Scottish Cup as well, we were knocked out by Aberdeen in round 1. So Aberdeen, who I've been, well, kind of making fun of in the Premiership for underperforming in both Year 1 and Year 2, actually took us down in the Scottish Cup. So how bad does that make us? It's pretty embarrassing, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we get let go partially the way through next season. Just the underperforming has really been killing us. Also in the Champions League, we were taken down in aggregate by Benfica in the qualifying stage. And if we have a look at the Europa League, in the group stage, we had Aston Villa, Royal Antwerp and Split. We actually came second, which put us through to the preliminary round. We have a look in the preliminary round, and we actually, believe it or not, got matched up with Benfica again. So the team that sent us into the Europa League originally came third in their group in the Champions League and also got sent down as well. We matched up with them and beat them 5-3 in aggregate, so a really good revenge story for us there. Even though we've been performing really badly domestically, the continental European comps have been a bit better for us overall. However, coming into the round of 16, we matched up with RB Leipzig, which, of all of these teams here, they're possibly the most difficult team to match up against, apart from maybe Real Madrid. And they took us down 4-2. Still a good performance by us, especially beat them in the second leg 2-1. But yeah, we couldn't get past them, unfortunately, so not a big deal for us, but nothing amazing either. And here we go in season number 3, a quick squad overview again. If you have a look through, it's basically the same squad as the previous season. The only big change is at goalkeeper. We brought in Dominguez. He's a Chilean goalkeeper, 6'4". I believe he's got a bit of value to him, a bit of upside, so he's the only real change we've had within the starting 11. Our bench, we've also got some new options here as well that have just come in. They have a bit of potential to them, of course. We'll have to wait and see if they can really develop and eventually kind of take over the starting jobs on this team. As there are a few starters I've noticed have really kind of slowed down development-wise, so I think this team is going in the right direction. As you can see, a few players kind of approaching on the 80 overall range, which once you become an 80, it's kind of a sign that you're a very good player in the Scottish League, in my opinion. So we're kind of fringing on being a really good team. We just need to have a good season, get into good form to help out our development, and kind of go from there. We've made a few signings this season. Obviously the main one being Dominguez, coming in from Dusseldorf in Germany, I believe. And he's, as I said, he's a guy with a lot of potential, I believe, to him as well. A previous goalkeeper, Xander Clark, has left to go into Stade Brestois, or Bastard, not too sure how you pronounce that team. I believe in France, so he's gone over there. And we've found a replacement for him, about almost 5 million more expensive, yes, roughly. But, you know, he's got a lot more potential to him as well, and is already an upgrade in terms of overall by 1, so long-term Dominguez is the option we want in goalkeeper. We've also brought in Semi Braybrook as well, as a young central midfielder. Bit of potential to him, he's 6 foot tall, which is very tall for a midfielder, and I feel like he can develop well and become a bit of a staple in the midfield. We'll have to retrain him as our formation doesn't allow for a pure central midfielder, so we'll have to retrain probably as a cam or a CDM, one or the other. And we'll have to go from there depending on kind of where he fits in. Going into the year, we've got our first game coming up right now against Motherwell. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. We should, in my opinion, this year expect to finish in first or second. I don't know if we're quite good enough to take over Celtic yet. Last year proved that we aren't, but I do feel like we've made some good changes in the off-season in terms of a bit of development, one or two new signings here and there to maybe plug and play. I feel like second place is probably our floor and first is probably our ceiling. We could slide down as far as third, so maybe our floor is third place. But regardless, though, it's going to be an interesting season. We kind of need to finish in second at the lowest. I really want Europa League football. So I believe this year we should, in my opinion, get pushed down to the Conference League, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have a look and see if I can find. So anyway, here we are. Okay, so we're actually in the Europa League playoffs against AGF. So we could still qualify for the Europa League through that. And if we do, that's fantastic. But if we don't, we'll end up in the Conference League. And as we have a look now at the end of Season 3, we can have a look at how we've gone. We actually made it into the Europa League, the group stage, and had a decent year in there. We'll have a look at that in a second. But in the Premiership, we finished in third place in the regular season. Kind of where I expected. We only lost on goal difference by, by 11 to Rangers, so a big difference. But still a really good season for us. The third place finish is strong. And as I said, we're only 4 points behind Rangers and on a draw. Oh, sorry, 4 points behind Celtic and on a draw with Rangers. So, still a very, very close season for us. Also, Aberdeen finally actually came into form. It only took them 3 seasons, but they've finally sort of come back to expectations, finishing in 7 points behind us as well. If we have a look and we go into the second stage of the Premiership here, we'll have a look that we've actually won the league. We went 4 wins, 1 draw in the second stage of the Premiership. Pushing up us into first and pushing Rangers up into second above Celtic as well. So we had a really impressive group, ending up with 13 points in the group stage, Rangers with 10, Celtic only with 4. So Celtic really collapsed here late in the season, ended up losing to us by 5, despite being up by 4 going into the second stage. So a bit of a collapse by Celtic, but at the end of the day, we've won the Premiership in year 3. Also having a look here at the Scottish Cup as well. We once again underperformed, losing for the second year in a row in the first round to St Johnstone. So in year 1, we made the final, lost to Celtic, and year 2 and 3, we lost in the first round both times. So very inconsistent from us, very poor performances in the Scottish Cup. But as I said, I feel like our performance in the Premiership almost negates that in a way. So overall, not a bad performance. And if we have a look at the Europa League as well, we can jump over to the group stage here and see we actually won our group, a group with Ajax, Frankfurt, and a fourth team I'm not too familiar with. We actually won the group somehow. I'm not terribly sure how we done it. Ajax and Frankfurt, I would think, are both probably the better teams out of the 3 of us. But regardless, though, we managed to get through, which means that we skipped the preliminary round, jumped straight into the round of 16, put us up against Borussia Dortmund. Of course, we get paired up against one of the best teams in Europe in the Europa League. It's just inevitable. We've had quite bad luck so far with our matchups, I feel like. We actually, though, went 4-4 in aggregate against Dortmund. Put us on penalties going into the second game at the end of the regulation time, and we actually lost 5-4 in penalties. So we were 1 penalty away from making it to the quarterfinals of a European competition. So at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with that performance. I feel like we've done quite well overall. Obviously, winning the Scottish League is the most important goal we've hit this year. And hopefully it's kind of a standard for us now, but also we made big developments. We also went ahead and signed a veteran Benzema. Hey, you might be saying why? Well, basically, Lawrence Shankland, who was the previous striker, was kind of getting a bit older on the side of things, and wasn't really developing at all. And I know that Benzema is obviously, he's 37 in this scenario, so he's actually regressing quite heavily, but he gives us an instant boost to our striker position. I believe when we signed him, it was by about 8 overall over Shankland, so it was a no-brainer to bring in a veteran, maybe increase the kind of reputation of the club as well by bringing in a big-time player for us. But already, look at this club now. We've got a few players in the 80s. It's looking like a really nice group we've got here. If we have a look in the squad hub, we've still got a few young players out on loan. Reece Brown is a really impressive young goalkeeper. Dave Scott is a 6'6" centre-back. He's developed quite well. I also have a few other options as well. Gomez is still out on loan. He's developing okay. Ibrahim Watts is on loan at Mönchengladbach. He's not developing poorly either. Leeburn is still on loan with Stade Rem. He's not playing too badly either, it would seem. And also, we've had Webster return. He returned from DC United in the MLS. Actually, after a 2-year loan, he returned to us. And he looks like he's going to be fantastic. As you can see, he has potential to be special. Typically, is an indicator of close to 90 overall potential, roughly. So, if we can develop him right, he can easily be possibly the best ever player that's ever played in the Scottish League before. So, keep an eye on him. As Benzema regresses and Webster develops, eventually Webster will slide in and take the starting position from Benzema. basically that will happen, I assume, this next season coming up, as Webster's developing really well and Bazema's at 37, understandably regressing quite quickly now. So we'll make that swap sometime in year 4. But all around though, a really good year, some really promising development from a lot of players. Burning in for our first game of the year. We have made a few marquee signings, I believe, that could possibly basically continue our attempted repeat of winning the Scottish Premier League 2 years in a row. So we've actually sold Devlin, who has been our starting defensive midfielder for the first 3 years. He's actually gone to Roma. However, the money we brought in, I believe, does make it worth the while. So Devlin and Shanklin, two of our Premier players that have been here since the beginning, have left. Devlin to Roma, obviously, and Shanklin also left late last season, our starting striker, to go to Everton. So we've lost two of our kind of Premier players, but I believe we've cashed in on them at the right time before they really start to regress in their late sort of 20s. And also we have good replacements for them as well. One of them being Lavia, Romeo Lavia, who we brought in from Southampton. He looks like a really good player who can really kind of hopefully turn the defensive midfield position around for us and help make it a staple of our team. Has been a bit average, the defensive midfield position, for the last few years. But if he can, kind of, turn that position around for us with some development, maybe become a decent player in a few years for us, that's exactly what I'm looking for here as well from Lavia. We've also learned out Anderson, one of our young strikers. He's gone out on loan. I've actually let Shevchuk go on transfer for 1.45. He basically stopped developing is the reason why. His development basically stalled out completely. And he's been a decent player while he's been here, but as I said, if you can't really develop and offer anything to the club long term, you've got to go. And unfortunately, his development had kind of slowed down. We've also loaned out Pollock as well. He's gone to LHAFC. So overall, not a groundbreaking transfer window, but with the money that we have, which was only somewhere around the 20 million mark, I believe, I think we've done a good job. We still have a little bit of transfer money left over, so we may make 1 or 2 more signings. But this is probably looking like the kind of complete transfer window that we've made. Having a look at our starting squad, it looks like it's going to be a really good squad we've got this year. We've also signed a few youngsters as well in Correa, in Berger. We've made a few kind of young signings as well, and Doya off the bench. Now, I believe he can basically, maybe not contribute this year, but either have a bench role the first season or maybe develop into a starter in a year or two. So as you can see, really good lineups. El Canus has had crazy development, up to an 85 now already. Noose has developed really well alongside him. Zabas as a centre back / right back has been great. So all around, some really nice development from the players. I think this team can easily win the Premier League, if I'm being honest. I mean, there's a few players in the 80s now. We should be winning with that kind of ability, or at least making it very competitive and very difficult for Celtic and Rangers. And so here we are now at the end of our 4th season with Hearts. We've actually made a finals appearance in the Scottish Cup that we're going to jump in and play in a second. We'll have a quick look at the run of form that we've had in the Scottish Cup. So this year we did not get eliminated in the first round like we did for the last 2 seasons. We actually made a solid run, knocking out Aberdeen in the quarters, Motherwell and Celtic in the semis on penalties, and now matching up with Rangers in the final. So we'll jump in and play that action in a second. If we have a look over at the Premiership, you can see we've actually won the Premiership. If we go to the first stage, we're up by 2 points at the end of the regular season. With a Celtic goal difference, we were a bit behind, but at the end of the day, the points are most important. We jump into the second stage. 4 wins, 1 loss in 5 games, ends up giving us a 4-point victory over Celtic over the overall season. So all around a really impressive season from us, especially in the Premiership. We'll jump into the Cup in a second and see how we go there. And also have a look at our performance as well in European competitions. We jump over to the group stage that we were in. We're matched up in a very, very tough group. Genk, Real Madrid, Dortmund and ourselves. We actually did not play terribly. We went 2-2-2, almost a positive goal difference against 2 juggernauts in Europe, and Genk surprisingly actually won the division as well. So a bit of a wildcard group there that was, very difficult. But I'm still very, very impressed with that performance. Almost getting through against Madrid and Dortmund as well, 2 of the big teams in Europe. So here we go now as we jump into the Cup final, the Scottish Cup, going up against Rangers. This is going to be a bit of a test for us. We've come up very short the last 2 seasons, being knocked out in the first round, both of the last 2 years. However, in our first year, we actually made a finals appearance against Celtic, in which we lost, I believe, 3-1. So we have a bit of experience here in the final, and hopefully we can get over the hump, as we've been eliminated 3 years in a row now, despite the fact that we probably deserve one by now. Have a look at the starting lineups. We're at full strength today. We've got Benzema off the bench as well. As you can see, he's still here in the second season with us. However, he is regressing quite heavily. So we're actually going with Felix Webster, a youngster who just came back on loan early last year from DC United in the MLS. He's come back a lot better. He's been playing great for us all year. So hopefully he can get on the tally for us today with a few goals. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a tough game, I believe. Raiders are a good side. As you can see here, very talented squad. Let's jump in and see how we go. No shot on goal there, but actually a save by the keeper. Really impressive run from us though. Still have possession of the ball. Let's see if we can get something going here. And it's shut down. Shooting here, Webster wide open, one-on-one with the keeper. Back left corner of the net. Webster gets us on the board in the 16th minute. Another quick counter attack for us here. Generally with the ball on the right wing. It's whipped in. Elkanus is there. Saved by the keeper. We've been all over them in the first half. A lot of pressure being applied to Rangers defence at the moment. Ball's whipped in from Noosa. No luck. Canoes wide open on the edge of the box. Past the goal. Shooting here for Rangers. Deflected. Half time's approaching. Can we get a stop here before half time? Yes, we can. We'll clear it. Now go into half time. Up 1-0. And I may have spoken too soon. First shot on goal for Rangers all game, and it's a goal. Point blank range shot basically for their attack. Honestly, a bit of a defensive breakdown on our behalf. It wasn't like it was a counter attack or anything like that. It was just poor defending at the end of the day. If we have a look at the replay here, Rangers were basically able to cut through the defense. Wide open pass after wide open pass. Near a point blank range shot for the striker, making it very easy for them. Opportunity here for Webster. He's in the box. Keeper saves. And we get in Felix Webster with his second of the day, putting us up 2-1 late in the game. The team celebrates with him. Nothing special of a goal. A simple run up the left wing. Webster gets a little bit of space on the cutback. And bang, past the keeper. And we concede. Every time I talk about putting more goals on them, they come right back with a goal 2 seconds later. As you can see, another defensive breakdown on our behalf. Poor tackling. Keeper making a save, but no one there to back it up and clean it up afterwards. A wide open header, no one to stop it. It's an easy goal for Rangers again. Shortly after, we have a corner. As Elkanus hits a shot, comes off the defender's right boot. Let's see if we can whip this in. It's hit in. Elkanus gets there with the header, but can't connect, score a goal. Some late subs for Rangers late in the game. To them with the hope of equalising. For us, hopefully they're a non-factor, the subs. It's currently Rangers' corner, so they're going to play it short. Deflected off Rangers, our ball. This might be our final chance for a counter attack here late in the game. Let's see how we go. Asking you shall receive. We're bringing up the left wing with Watts. Super sub. This defender's tired. Doubles back. Passed in. Elkanus. Saved by the keeper. We get possession back on the edge of the box. He brings it up. It's a cross in. It's got Benzema with a volley. But it's called offside. Very impressive shot on goal here. It came off Benzema, but unfortunately one of our other players was standing offside in front of Benzema's shot. So Benzema's goal would have been a goal if it wasn't for the other guy standing in the way. If that cost us the game, that would be a rather embarrassing way to lose. We go into extra time now. Really embarrassing moment at the end of the game there. With an offside call very late in the game. I'm just coming back to have a look here real quick at the replay. It was Ginley on the corner, whipping it in. It's looked to be very impressive. There was 2 options here that could have gone for it. It was Benzema, off the volley. Hit really well. Unfortunately, it was Tim Origbinum. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Standing offside. I just hoping it doesn't cost us the game there. As I said, he was caught in a bit of a tricky situation. You can't blame him. As I said, from this point of view, you'd think, oh, he's going to get a wide open shot here. But Benzema claims the shot, jumps up and takes it, and Eric Brunham's caught in a bit of a tricky spot. Another attack in the box. Benzema passes in. Ginley's there. Over to Ndoye, and he's tackled. Will we see cards? We don't. Benzema on the edge here. He's up, hits it. It's in. Benzema free kick to put us up 3-2 early in extra time. There's still a lot of time left in the game, but that has really put us in the favourites now. Benzema in his last ever professional game for us scores a free kick to put us up in the Scottish Cup 3-2. Really impressive strike here. Straight over the wall, not a lot of curve to it, but as I said, it was a very close range free kick. It was going to make it hard to save it. We're in the first half of extra time, still up 3-2. A few good opportunities here in extra time, nothing too crazy. Obviously that's the man Benzema. So left back Zenta on the left wing, he doesn't have any options. Passes it back, Benzema. Can't get a shot to it. Rangers corner coming up. Doria gets his body to it, it's out. Now the counter straight off the corner, and Elkanus put it away. Blocked by the keeper. And another attack for us. We keep putting the pressure on. Slip over the top. Benzema's there. And we finally put it away. 4-2 we go up with an Elkanus shot. Close in goal. Finally seals the deal for us. Clearance for us, and that puts it away officially. Hearts have won their first Scottish Cup so far in the rebuild. After a few underperformances, being smashed up by Celtic in year 1, losing 3-1, and knocked out in the first round the last 2 seasons, we finally get over the hump, putting away a 4-2 performance against Rangers. And here to raise the cup, it's Benzema in his final game, raising the cup with the rest of the Hearts team. His retirement match, scoring this goal that's actually going to seal the game for us, leading the team to victory as well, in his late 30s. And there you have it, a 4-2 win in the Scottish Cup. We did a double this year, winning both the Scottish Premiership and the Scottish Cup. Our first double. All we need to do now is have some success in the European competition, and I'll consider this a successful rebuild. In year 4 for us. Berger is a keeper that we brought in, who's come along nicely. Brown, he's out on loan, it's developed well. I have a look through. The 6'6" centre-back Dave Scott has grown really nicely. We've got some really good options here into the future. Tim Orogbunam, who was unfortunately the guy caught offside in that last game, he's still developed really nicely, and as I said, I don't blame him for that at all. We ended up winning, so it didn't matter, but you can't be too mad. He was just caught in a tricky spot in that game. Romeo Lavia has also come along nicely as well. Noosa, obviously being an 87 overall, is absolutely crazy. Still only 21 years of age. You could sell him for a massive profit and try to bring in a few more star players, but I honestly think we just roll with Noosa for a while. He's still developing well. Same with Elkanus as well. And here's the main man, Felix Webster, 81 overall he now is, gone up 5 this season with us. He's been playing absolutely fantastic. It seems that his time with DC United has done him really well. He's come back even stronger for us, and he started almost the entire year. If we go to stats, he's put up 30 goals in 38 games, so a really prolific goal scorer. He's been fantastic for us. Benzema, also, as you can see, retiring end of season. He's getting a bit older. He's basically done everything he can. He's had success in Europe, success in individual countries around the world. Won the Scottish Cup in his final ever game. I think that's a final retirement for him. It's a very satisfying retirement. As I said, we've got a good future. And if we have a look at our transfers here as we go into the next season, you can see we've made a few big signings here. We brought in Zenta from Man City, who's a young fullback. Feeney's gone out on loan, as well as a few other options. Ginley is set to leave on a free transfer to Rem. A few other players are going out on loan. We've sold our goalkeeper Dominguez, he's gone over to Benfica. A few other players out on loan as well. Another marquee signing is Augustine Rossi. You might be saying, why are we signing an old goalkeeper? Well, our board said it as a goal to sign a veteran player, and goalkeeper was probably our weakest position after a few kind of failed prospects have come through the team. So I brought in a veteran goalkeeper with Rossi. Going into year 5 now, we have a big offer here for Felix Webster, over 100 million from Milan. It's a very hard decision, but I believe that we should try and hold on to Webster for a bit longer, because I do believe that his potential is going to be somewhere towards the 90s range, and as I said, if we catch in on him then, he's going to be worth a lot more to us, or if we keep him around, he's going to be a very good player, so I believe we're going to go ahead and reject this offer from Milan. And about halfway through the transfer window, we also receive an offer for Elkanus as well, valued at 249 million from Atletico Madrid. It's very, very tempting to accept this. However, Elkanus has not hit his potential yet. I know he's an 89 overall, but he's actually still developing somehow, so I think we're going to reject this as well. I know that 249 million could be well, big time for us. We could reallocate that into a few players, but I think we're going to stick with him for now. Also going to reject that and try and stay with this core of Webster and Elkanus, as well as Nusa as well. They're the big three we have at the moment, and we'll try and stay with them. And we're here now at the end of the first transfer window of Season 5. We've made a few small-scale moves, just to kind of try and turn the needle on the club a little bit. As you can see, we started off first, letting Leon King go, Aston Villa. He's kind of slowed down development-wise. We bought him earlier on in the career from Rangers, I believe. But he hasn't developed quite the way I kind of hope he did, so he's gone on to Aston Villa. We also brought in David Barham, a Polish goalkeeper from Royal Antwerp. He's a guy with good potential, I believe. And we have kind of a struggle to find a young goalkeeper that can kind of develop well. So hopefully Brian can be the guy. As I said, it's kind of been a bit of a revolving door at goalkeeper. So we just need someone who can kind of lock in the position for a few years. And if Brian can develop well, I can't see why that can't be him. We've also gone ahead and sold Debas as well. He's gone to Atletico Madrid for a pretty big fee. He's been a solid player for us for a few seasons now, but he's kind of stalled out development-wise, and we're going to have to look elsewhere for a new replacement for his position. He's quite versatile. He was playing both centre-back and right-back for us. We're going to have to look for a guy to replace his kind of role with versatility. But we have found a pure centre-back with Castello Luqueba. He's come over from Newcastle. He's a guy who I think can really provide some value for us. He's a really good centre-back, still quite young, only 23, so if he can develop, hopefully he can keep that centre-back position locked down for us for a few years, as we're still looking for a bit of consistency on this team instead of having a really high roster turnover like we have. So hopefully with Luqueba and Baran, they can be two staples of the team for the next few seasons. And as we wrap up now with our 5th season, we can see that we've absolutely destroyed the Scottish Premiership this year. In the regular season, up by 25 points over Celtic, with only the one loss in there as well, with a 53 positive goal difference through only 33 games. So we've absolutely landslided across the Premiership this year. And if we have a look at the second stage as well, we finished with over 100 total points. So a really strong year from us altogether. As you can see, St Mirren finished with 15 total points across the season through, I believe it's 38 games, only one win in the regular season. Actually, only one win. So out of 38 games, St Mirren finished with only a single win through 38. So not great for them, but on the other hand, we have been fantastic with over 101 total points. So we are landslide of the Premiership for us this year, and I think we shouldn't really have to worry anymore. We're basically, as shown by here, the Kings of Scotland we are now. We've taken the Scottish Cup for a 2nd year in a row, the Scottish Premiership for the 3rd year in a row. It seems like we're basically the dominant team in Scotland. We don't really have to worry about the domestic leagues anymore, these two. We've basically taken them over. Not a big deal now. If we have a look at the Champions League, we'll head across to our group stage. We got put in quite a tough group. Mainly Chelsea and Sporting are the main two threats, but we actually managed to get through, beating Sporting by 1 point, which takes us through to the round of 16. We matched up with Liverpool. Took the first leg as a 1-1 draw, and actually managed to beat them 2-0 at Anfield in the second leg. So we actually managed to sneak through against them in a very, very tight first game, and then actually end up with a win in game 2 against them. So we get through to the quarterfinals, which got put up with PSG. Both legs went 1-1, and we actually lost in Paris 5-4 on penalties. So once again, a very, very close, kind of 2-leg there we had with PSG, but we just can't put them away. Still, the quarterfinals run for a small Scottish team is, quite an impressive thing. You can also see Celtic, they actually made it to the quarterfinals, but they lost 8-0 in aggregate to Juventus. So even though we did lose in the quarterfinals, at least we didn't get embarrassed. We looked quite strong, losing to PSG only by 5-4 on penalties. So all around a really impressive season for us. If we have a look at our squad, how they've developed, I can see here, Felix Webster, 88 overall now. El Canus, 92. Nusa, 91, Eric Bunham, 87, Lavia, 87. Some really good development from some of the players here that we've had this year. Our bench is coming along nicely as well. A lot of really impressive youngsters down here. All around a really strong side. We had a few offers throughout the season for both Nusa and El Canus. El Canus is still developing though. It's just surprisingly at 92 overall, he's still getting better. Whereas Nusa has started to cap out his development. So if I do get a good offer for Nusa, I may move on from him, but it has to be a very good offer. As I said, he's only still 22 and has really good value to us. He's a very pacey winger. So, we actually sold Berger. He actually stopped his development altogether, so we sold him off to Norwich. We brought in Rashid Ahmed, came over from Frankfurt. He's a young striker with a bit of potential. Nilsson got sold to Newcastle United. He stopped developing at 24, so we sold him off. Baran was loaned out to Laurent for 2 years, I believe. We have a lot of depth at goalkeeper now, especially young goalkeepers, so unfortunately one of the goalkeepers had to get loaned out, and that just happened to be Baran. Pacheco we signed as well, another goalkeeper. I did get a bit overboard with our goalkeepers. I kind of panicked because the goalkeeper position has been a bit of a revolving door in the first few seasons, so I figured let's just sign a bunch of goalkeepers and eventually one of them will develop into a star player and finally get some consistency at that position. Also brought in Ismael Riveros, who came in from Calcio. He's a young attacking mid. Yeah, a bit creative attacking midfielder, but I saw this guy. He's only 19, got good potential, quite fast. He's a very fun player. Ngoma, he went on transfer. He just stopped developing basically, and I really liked having him around on the wing. But eventually, if you're gonna not develop, you can't really stick around too long. Alex Cochrane, our starting left back, he's been with us for the entire save so far. He's gone off to Italy for a big sum as well that we can reinvest, which, as you can see above, we did do. We brought in David De Vrij, came in from Lyon. He was originally a central midfielder, but we retrained him out on the right mid. Obviously losing Ngoma left us empty on the right midfield. I also brought in Agudelo, one of PSG's young strikers. He's kind of a pacey young striker, 6 foot, so decent height to him. Obviously he's not going to play much behind Felix Webster, but as a young guy, he can hopefully develop behind Webster. He's a very exciting player to have. Obviously the big three up the front looking really nice. We have a few holes on the team, left back and right mid in particular. However, if De Vrij can develop into a strong right midfielder, then he'll fix that gap for us. And so here we are now at the end of another season, and as you can see, we've won a Champions League group featuring Barcelona in it. Even though Barcelona did underperform with 3 draws and a loss, we'll take it, which puts us through to the round of 16. We matched up with Bayern Munich, went down 2-3, but managed to come back in the second leg, putting us up overall, which put us through to the quarter-finals. Went up with AC Milan. One of the legs went 4-1 our way, which then put us to an aggregate 6-3 in total after the second leg. Semi-finals matched up with RB Leipzig, went up 3-4 in aggregate, therefore putting us in the Champions League final. So for a smaller Scottish club, I'm very happy that we've made it here. Taken us a few seasons, yes, but as I said, this is a bit of a rebuild. This was 100% my goal to get Hearts to a European final. We've managed to do it going up against PSG here. We will jump in and have a look at the game as well in a second. Before we do that, let's have a look at how we've gone in our other competitions. Over to the Premiership, we've absolutely landslided the rest of the league. If you have a look at the first stage, we're already up by 13 going into the second stage, so almost clinched the title without the need for the second stage. Rangers and Celtic both performed still good, but compared to how we went this year, nothing special at all. In the second stage, we ended up absolutely dominating the league, winning by 18 points over both Celtic and Rangers, so in my opinion, that kind of confirms that we've established ourselves as the best Scottish club, and this also confirms it here as well with a 6-0 smoking of Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. But regardless though, we'll have a quick look at the squad before we jump into the Champions League final. As you can see, a very talented group with a few weak spots here and there, but all around though a really sound squad that I believe can upset PSG on a good day. Starting with Felix Webster at the top here, our striker, still only very young, 22 to be precise, but he's a bit of a well-rounded guy, quite fast, good dribbler, good shooter, not a bad passer. Same with El Kanous, very well-rounded cam. Nusa on the left, very well balanced guy, very fast, can kind of do everything for us. De Vrij, still only a very young guy, only 21 and still developing, but he's been very promising for us all season. A back four, a bit of a mixed bag here. Probably our weakest group out of the team, but regardless, still a nice squad. Obviously Dave Scott, the 6'6" fast centre back. Hopefully he can match up well with Mbappe, kind of shut him down all game. And Luke Haber as well, another fast centre back. And in goalkeeper, Pfizer. I believe we bought him at somewhere around an 80 overall early in the season, and he's already developed up to an 88, so he's developed incredibly quickly. And our bench is nothing to be embarrassed by either. A really nice, well-rounded group. A few fun players in here as well with a bit of speed behind them. Hopefully we won't need to rely on them in the game at all, but all around a really fun squad we've assembled in the Champions League final here. Getting started here before the game, we do have to worry about a few problems here that PSG have. I believe they have Jude Bellingham now on the roster, obviously Kylian Mbappe, still have Hakimi, Donnarumma in goals, but all around a very talented squad. Of course it is PSG, so they're going to obviously strengthen themselves with the amount of money they have. So we're going to be in some trouble here overall. My main goal though is to hopefully score fairly early on, put us up early. If we have to park the bus, then we'll have to. Regardless though, hopefully we won't need to get to that stage, and hopefully we can win by a few goals. See how we go. And a blunder here in the defence leads to a counter attack for us. Noosa on the left with the ball. It's passed in. Knus is there. Passed in again, but Webster can't get a boot to it. And we conceded early here against PSG, as unexpected. A goal here from Bellingham right in front of the net. Terrible defensive breakdown there from us, as is expected. We don't match up very well with PSG. Their talent lies up front, and unfortunately our back line does not match up well in terms of talent. So we go down 1-0 quite early on still, but we do concede a goal. Over a counter-attack off the kick-off, De Vrij on the right side, gives it a hit, almost soars past the keeper, not quite. A risky tackle there on Mbappe, kind of a last-ditch effort there to stop him, hopefully not a card. Dave's not getting stuck in, and he gets yellowed for it. Debatable, but maybe it's deserved. We'll wait and see. Hopefully no opportunities here from them. And it's De Vrij again, forcing the ball up the right wing. Easy save for Donnarumma though, it's not hit well. And El Khanous shortly after puts a goal on the back of the net off a Webster assist. Nothing too special here. De Vrij passes it to Webster with an easy through ball, no one there, and a powerful shot past the keeper, putting us back to 1-1 again. And again, another opportunity here. De Vrij hits it. Straight past the keeper though. Can't get anything on it. Once again, another counter-attack short after. Can we get anyone open? Still alive. De Vrij. Deflected. And Bellingham shuts it down. Now it's Webster again, putting the pace on. We've got Noam with him. He hits it. Off the crossbar. Moose is there. Hits it again. Donnarumma with the save. Still alive. Goes out for a corner. Starting off the second half here, the game plan is fairly simple now. They've kind of been all over us all game. The game plan is going to be score a goal soon if we can, and try to stay on to that lead as soon as we can. Nothing too amazing. That's a goal from El Khanous to put us up 2-1. Shortly after, only the 54th minute, still time to go. That's exactly what we're after though. A lead going into early in the second half. All we have to do is hold on to it now. Play was nothing special. A simple through ball here. Straight onto El Khanous, on the left foot, saved, but nothing after that from the defenders, giving us nearly a wide open shot on goal. All we need to do now is hold on to the lead. Easier said than done. Let's see if we can do it. Opportunity here, but offside. Saw an opportunity there and had to take it. Even though I said we'll try and play a bit more defensively, there was a gap in the defence there, but unfortunately though, Webster gets caught offside. We do make a few subs here. Try and maintain the lead, a few pairs of fresh legs. We did play in the Scottish Cup final earlier in the week, so a few players maybe experiencing a bit of fatigue here. So a few fresh legs to hopefully see out a 2-1 win. Shortly after though, moments after I say a 2-1 win, an easy goal there, no one stopping once again. Terrible defending on our behalf. As I said, it is our weakness in our team, but Mbappe, no one there to stop him on the defensive group. Just him and the keeper basically, and he hits it straight past, putting us back to even 2-2. We decided to make a change at striker as well, bring on some fresh legs. Taking off Webster is risky, but as we do need a goal to put it away early here, we have decided to bring on a striker and see if we can do it. And a quick counter attack, the super sub McDonald comes on, it's hit past, puts up 3-2. The subs, Dominguez and McDonald connect, putting us up 3-2 again. We jump over to the replay here, as you can see. An easy pass, no groups to defend him there at all. Hit past the keeper. It's well done from the subs there. It was a bit of a risk to bring these two guys on late in the game, but clearly it's paid off. Now it's McDonald again with the run through to put us up even more. It's hit. Soars past the keeper, another one-on-one opportunity. McDonald clearly proving to be a super sub. Taking El Khanous and Webster off was a big risk, but it's paid off so far. 2 goals from McDonald, 2 assists from our other sub as well. It has clearly paid off very well here, going into the 85th minute, up 2 goals. All we have to do now is see out the lead. No pressure on us at all here. And perhaps PSG's last chance of the game here with the corner. They've brought the keeper up, 11 men at the front. We're going to head to it. That may be game over for them. They have no keeper in goal at the moment. McDonald chasing the keeper down. Looking for a long shot here, it would seem. Hits it. Donnarumma just makes a save. That might put the game away though. Only 1 minute of extra time left. 2 goals needed for PSG to tie. Let's see if we can stay out full time. And we do. The Hearts have won the Champions League. Absolutely phenomenal play there from the team. El Khamis with a double, and his replacement McDonald with a double as well, putting us up 4 goals. I'll stress a bit at the end there that we may need to go into extra time. Unfortunately though, the double from McDonald there off the bench seals a 2-point goal difference for us. Unfortunate for PSG, they probably deserve to win. Seemed like they'd fully committed to attacking, which led to a couple of defensive breakdowns. Regardless though, we don't really mind. Champions League final for us, exactly what we aimed to do at the beginning of the rebuild, and we've done it. The captain, Unum here, ready to lift the trophy. A big congrats to Hearts. Really fun rebuild that we've done today. Really strong side. And a very, very interesting team to win the Champions League. And there we have it. That officially makes it official. A 40 victory over PSG to seal the Champions League final for us. Another trophy added to the cabinet. Very, very successful rebuild all around. Really fun one as well. And if we have a look back at the career we've had so far, played with 1 club, we've won 4 league titles, 3 Scottish Cups, and the Continental Cup as well, just to go against PSG in the Champions League final. Our biggest win against Celtic is very satisfying to see. Our goal was to become bigger than Celtic, and we've clearly done that now. Really successful seasons that we've had here all around. Very good performances from us. I'm very happy with how the rebuild's gone. I just wanted to say a big thank you for watching my first proper video on the channel. This was a really fun rebuild with a few really good stories we've had. Obviously a few players such as Webster coming through our youth academy, El Khamis having insane development as a cam, Noosa on the left midfield position as well, becoming absolutely amazing. Really fun rebuild all around. And as I said, in our last year we've done the treble, winning the Premiership by 18 points, winning the Scottish Cup in a 6-0 blowout against Celtic, our biggest rival, and in the Champions League going up 4-2 against PSG, completing the treble for us and completing a really good rebuild. So I just wanted to say thank you for watching. As I said, my first rebuild on the channel, really fun one. A bit clunky maybe as well. I'm still figuring a few things out in terms of well, the whole rebuild thing as well in videos and whatnot, so I'm still figuring things out. But all around, this was a really fun rebuild that we've done today. Really satisfying to see, bringing a small club up through the ranks, eventually into a dominant side, and winning the Champions League. So thank you for tuning into this one. Hopefully my videos do get a bit better going into the future. This was, as I said, a bit of a clunky first video, but it was really fun to play through, and hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. So thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you next time.